Today is April 29th, Wednesday. Putin is working in the Kremlin. Today is the big day of Russian-Congolese relations, with the state visit to Russia, with the first state visit after the re-election of the president. The president of the Republic of Congo, Denis Sassou Nguesso, is in Russia. Today, there will be talks in a narrow format, talks between the delegations of the two countries, an official welcome ceremony of the president, a protocol attribute of the state visit, and also two presidents in a one-on-one format will continue their talks after lunch. In the evening, yes, in the second half of the day, we do not exclude international telephone conversations. We will inform you. And all evening, the president has scheduled meetings, internal working meetings, which are not intended for media coverage. This is the president's schedule for today. What questions do you have? I have a question. Good afternoon. May I? Yes, please. Vasily Bolshoy, TAVS agency. I am from Budnoy. The United Arab Emirates announced the departure of OPEC and OPEC Plus on May 1st. Tell me, please, did the Emirates inform Russia in advance about this decision? Did Putin contact the leaders of the countries on this issue? And, as a whole, did the Kremlin assess this decision and see the risks of further destabilization of energy markets? This is a sovereign decision of the United Arab Emirates. We respect this. We welcome the statements from Abu Dhabi that the Emirates will continue their responsible position on energy markets and coordination on a bilateral basis. In this regard, having a very constructive and friendly relationship with Abu Dhabi, we, of course, expect a very productive, constructive, and effective relationship with the United Arab Emirates, including within the framework of energy dialogue. Thank you. May I ask another question? Go ahead. Thank you very much. Tell me, please, how does the Kremlin assess the operation to free the historian Putin? How difficult was it to agree on an exchange? And maybe Putin plans to take Putin to the Kremlin or somewhere else. There are no such plans now. Of course, it was a very difficult and responsible process, and it was successfully carried out and finalized by our special services. Thank you very much. Anything else, may I reiterate? Yes, please. Yes, thank you. Sergei Dyanov reporting. Returning to the topic of OPEC, does Moscow consider the possibility of leaving OPEC Plus? No. Anything else, please? Dmitry Sergeyevich, hello. Welcome. Thank you. Go ahead. Thank you very much, Yelena Markovna. A question on the situation in Tuops. Does the Kremlin control the liquidation of consequences and incidents? And what is the current assessment from the point of view of environmental consequences and risks for the tourist season? You know that yesterday I received several reports from President Kurenkov. According to the president's instructions, Kurenkov immediately went to the scene of the accident that occurred after the strikes of the Kyiv regime. Measures are being taken. Kurenkov is being controlled on the spot. A meeting was held on the results of the work on the spot. And the entire assessment of the situation on the spot was given to the Minister of Emergency Situations. So this is within the framework of his assessment. No other investigators have been mentioned so far. This is the most competent person in this case, the Minister of Emergency Situations. The assessment should be given by specialists. Thank you.
Последние
May I?
дни были заметны
Yes,
факты,
please.
связанные с маркировкой классической литературы, отметкой 18+.
May I ask
Накануне
another
по
question?
распоряжению Минкульта сняли с
Yes.
проката третий сезон
The
сериала
president
«Учитель»,
recently
который
advised
недавно
legislators
вышел.
not to
Поэтому
focus on the
спросила, возможно, в
prohibitions.
общем, своеобразный
In
для
recent
таких
days,
музыкальных
facts
обзор.
related to the
И
marking of
фильм или
classical
сериал,
literature,
который
marked
дискредитирует
18
традиционные
plus, have been
ценности,
noticed.
объясняется. Будет ли Кремль следить за практикой
On
запрета
the eve of the
цензуры
meeting, the
и
Ministry of
контролировать
Culture ordered the
телевидение,
release of the
запретить
third
или
season of
понять,
the
насколько
series
этот
Method,
контент
which is
есть ли
quite
какие-то
popular,
ясные критерии
despite the fact
оценки
that the first
произведения.
two seasons are also, in general, peculiar. But there were no Americans. What exactly are the materials that discredit the traditional values? Will the Kremlin monitor the practice of prohibitions in the field of culture and control so that the reasons for the prohibitions are clear to the creators of the content, so that there are some clear criteria for the assessment of the works? This is the prerogative of the Ministry of Culture, which of course will monitor this. No one should have any doubts about this. We are talking about the implementation of the current laws. We all must follow the spirit and the letter of the law. But if there are any problems that are presented in relation to those who make certain decisions, then, of course, they need to be discussed in working order. I repeat, this is the prerogative of the Ministry of Culture or other departments in each particular case. Thank you. Another question? CNN, may I? Go ahead. Thank you. CNN, Anna Chernova. Dmitry Sergeyevich, yesterday, as you said, the head of the Ministry of Justice arrived in Toliati, but by that time there was already a spot in the open sea up to 50 kilometers along the coastline, according to satellite images, and traces of fuel oil spill were recorded both in the river and in the sea after the fires at the NPZ. What do you think? How timely and rapid was the reaction of the authorities and the services to what happened? Was it possible to prevent the fall of toxic substances in the reservoirs? The fact is that the reaction continues now. I would like to remind you that everything is a result of the strikes of the drones that were sent by the armed forces of the Kyiv regime. I would like to remind you that this oil was intended for export, to ensure the obligations of Russia on export contracts. And the reaction to minimize the consequences of these strikes of the relevant departments and forces continues at the moment. Therefore, to give some estimates, there is a lot of intense work in which hundreds and hundreds of people are involved. Hundreds and hundreds of specialists who heroically fight the consequences of these terrorist attacks, as well as the world energy community is desperately fighting the consequences of the oil shortage in the international markets, which is undermined by such criminal actions of the Kyiv regime. And if we still talk about the consequences for people on the spot, last week, the Rospotrebnadzor noted an excess in the air of 2 to 3 times the allowed concentration of toxic substances. Experts say that this can affect the health of residents with a delay from several weeks to months. What experts say this? Ecologists. Which ones? Please give me the names of the organizations. Yes, sure. We talked just for CNN for the material. Be sure to name them, and we will definitely answer this question. Thank you. Dmitry Sergeyevich Reiter. May I? Yes, please. Is it correct that we understand from your comments that the withdrawal of the United Arab Emirates from OPEC Plus does not mean the end of OPEC Plus, as an association of countries that help to stabilize the situation in the energy markets? We would like to hope so, of course. This is a very important direction of work, which is especially important in the current conditions when the energy markets are, to put it mildly, storming. This is a format that allows us to minimize such fluctuations in the energy markets and stabilize them. Thank you very much. Dmitry Sergeyevich, good afternoon.
Спасибо вам большое.
May I ask you a question? Yes, please. Kudryasova Varvara, we would like to ask you about the parade. Why did you decide to hold it without equipment? Is there a need for equipment at the front? Or is there a danger of drones? Or is there some other reason? We are talking about an operational situation. Yesterday, in the context of the elections, the president talked about this. The Kiev regime, which is losing ground on the battlefield every day, has now gone down into terrorist activity. Therefore, against the background of this terrorist threat, all measures are taken to minimize the danger.
Давайте не забывать все-таки, что в прошлом году это был юбилейный парад, широкоформатный.
There will be a parade, but let's not forget that last year it was a Jubilee parade, a large-scale parade, one that should be held on a round date. This date is not a Jubilee, but the parade will still be held, albeit in a limited format. Thank you very much. Anything else? Let's wrap this up. It's 12:40 a.m. now. Thank you all very much. We are waiting for the Russian-Congolese talks. Have a good working day. Goodbye.